Hello, welcome to VR for Work. We're recording today's episode on May 20th. My name is Rick, and I'm your host here at VR for Work. In this channel, we take a look at the programs and platforms that are geared to helping you be more productive while in VR. VR for Work, in fact, uses one of these very platforms to record the session you are watching. I'm in a program right now called Spaces that's running in my Oculus Quest headset, connected to my laptop across the room, in a room in my house, but recording in a virtual auditorium with a huge screen behind me. Spaces has imported an avatar that I've created and looks generally like me, very slimming, right haircut, and gives me environments such as this great auditorium to present and speak to you in. But this is just one of the many examples of productivity apps that have come into the marketplace recently. And VR for Work was formed to help us make the most out of these applications, to understand what their purpose is, how we can use them, and if they can make us more productive and efficient at home and at work. So with that, we're going to get started. I'm going to grab my tablet, which is actually a representation of my desktop. I'm going to come over here to the side of the screen. Let me come back. I'm going to grab my monitor so I can kind of keep an eye on the camera and what I'm doing. We're going to go to a close-up of our desktop and get started with our presentation. Okay, today we're going to be talking about an application called Immersed. And Immersed is one of, again, the growing number of productivity apps geared to bringing the power and resources of your PC, your laptop, or Mac, or Linux system to your VR headset. So Immersed, what is it? It's a desktop screen emulator, again, for PC, Mac, and Linux. And it really distinguishes itself being on the Mac and the Linux platform. In fact, at the time of this recording, there's some more feature and functionality in the Mac ecosystem than you'll find on the PC or Linux. You install a software host that runs on the remote system, a software client that goes on your Quest and Go, and it is Quest and Go specific. So it's just in the Oculus platform that you'll find Immersed. Windows mixed reality, Valve indexes need not apply. Client and host will connect on a local area network. So again, I'm in my house, my headset and my laptop are both connected to the same wireless network. The client and the host see each other and they make that connection. So no remote, my laptop here at home, me at an office in another town connecting, not doing that at this point. Immersed then takes your PC screens and gives you an environment to orient and manipulate those screens around you. You can connect to other Immersed users in the Immersed VR worlds. And if you think of Immersed user, think of Facebook friends. Again, Immersed is in that Oculus ecosystem. So making a connection in Immersed requires you to also be connected in the Oculus friends list. It enables you to hold meetings, share screens with other Immersed users, and there's a whiteboard functionality that you can use and share and save. So with that, let's go ahead and jump in, and I'm going to launch Immersed here from my Oculus Quest. It is a native app. You should soon find it in the store. Now, I'm going to pause here to call out this little loading screen that the Immersed devs put out here, because I think this very accurately captures the vision the Immersed group has for how you should feel in Immersed, right? You've got your user sitting here floating on a cloud in space with his Oculus headset on, a laptop in his lap and 3 screens floating out in front of him. And as we go through this video demo, you'll see, I think that this accurately captures what the dev team is shooting for. So you're out here again when you start up in the Milky Way galaxy, and then we come into our loading screen. Now, the first thing that you're greeted with is kind of this command panel or window. And what's happening is I've already signed up for Immersed. Obviously, I have my account, and I've connected my laptop and my Oculus Quest. So the software is actually going out on my network and seeing if it can find that device. Obviously, it's going to find it. I have it on, and I have the Immersed app up and running on it. So you can see that it's connecting, and it also kind of gives you a sense of, if you can read that in the middle of the screen, the latency. So what kind of ping speed am I getting, or connection between the headset and the laptop, because you're very reliant on that signaling between the two to get a smooth experience. All right, so now that I've connected, I've got my 2 screens kind of out here, one floating on the left, one on the right. Now, one of the things I learned, frankly, from the team at Immersed, because I have a laptop at home and I don't have a second physical external monitor, is they kind of educated me on these HDMI dummy plugs that you can buy. So I went out on Amazon, found one for like, I don't know, $8 maybe, and you plug that into your device, and it simulates a second monitor for these remote scenarios. So when Immersed connects, it believes there's a second monitor, and therefore I got monitor 1 over here on my left, monitor 2 on my right. Now I'm just kind of moving them out of the way, because another thing that Immersed brings to the table and does really, really well is it gives you these fantastic environments to be immersed in, right? I'll probably overuse that word during this session. But this one happens to be the mountaintop chalet, if you will. And you got the fire going over here in the corner. You look at out the window at this fantastic mountain range. The snow is falling. It's neat, tidy, and comfortable. The Westworld fans out there might get a kick out of the art on the wall. I'm just going to glance around here. But, again, if you go back to that loading screen of the little user floating on the cloud, right? When I was filming this, I was actually in my recliner with my feet up. And just actually, when I went into this world, just was as comfortable and as relaxed as I could be. And that mindfulness is one of the things that I think VR brings to the table when we talk about productivity and efficiency. And I find that Immersed has that in spades. All right, so I've got our command panel, and I will call out that I'm manipulating things with my controller that has a kind of a laser pointer extending out of the end of it with a little floating dot or mouse button on the end. So I point, pull the trigger, and move these screens around. That's kind of one of the primary actions. Now, I am going to call out that the first thing that we're looking at here is what's called public rooms. And so another thing Immersed gives you is this capability to connect in public areas with other Immersed users or with your own team, and share that space, whether you're working privately, like you might be in a coffee shop or a Starbucks with your laptop and there's other people sitting around you. You may not be interacting with them, but they're there in that space. And again, that social immersion of being in a space comes through loud and clear. So they have 5 public rooms right now that are available for you to kind of go occupy, sit in, share space, or frankly, to sit in by yourself. Because down here on this control panel, I can set a privacy setting where I can go into a room and that room is closed and I'm the only one in there. Or I think I'll click, and the next one is invite only. So I can go into a room and invite others to be with me, or they can invite me, or I can just open it up and I can be sitting in there and available to anybody that's on my friends list to be contacted and dropped in on. And so again, you see that there are these 5 spaces. We'll go into the then individual rooms. So like I said, we're right now in the Alpine Chalet, I believe it's called. And we're going to pick another one. This is another one of my absolute favorites. It's the Space Lounge. And when you open it up, you're sitting like on a big platform, like you're in a space station, looking out a window at the Earth slowly rotating around you. Just giving you a quick view of the room and then back out the window. And it really, really is rather awe-inspiring. Another thing that happens when you're in these spaces, and I didn't talk about it so much in the Alpine room, but in this room, you'll hear that there's this hum in the background all the time. And again, from an immersion perspective and from a workflow and mind peacefulness perspective, the environment that Immersed gives you, the choices of environments really just add to that sense of either isolation that you might want in terms of getting free of distraction and focusing on your work, or to have that kind of social flow going on around you that's not interrupting and in fact is maybe a bit comforting, like you might get at a coffee shop. So I'm going to kind of manipulate my screens. And again, I'm pointing my laser pointer at this control at the top center of the screen, hold down the trigger, and then I can move that screen in any way, shape, or form in my space that I want. So I pull up my second screen, and then up in the upper right-hand corner, okay, oh, so, yep, and from the control at the top center, I can then use my joystick, and I can toggle it forward and backwards and pull that screen in and out, grab the corner control, and then not my toggle button, but just my wrist can make that screen larger or smaller. And then on the right-hand side, there is a menu for curving the screen in and out to the right curvature. And then there's a control up here, yep, that will blank your screens temporarily. Maybe you're going into a phone call, and then you can kind of get them back. And there they are. Okay, so those are actually all the basic controls. So that's manipulating horizontally and vertically in your environment, and then with the joystick, depth out, depth in, and then in the upper left-hand corner, stretch and shrink your screen. On the right-hand side, we haven't talked about this, but this would be the sharing icon if I were in a session with somebody, and then the curvature of the screen. So some very basic controls. You'll pick this up very, very quickly. So I have my 2 screens here, and right now in the Windows environment, which is what I'm running, you can get up to 2 physical monitors. One of the things the team is going to be bringing to us soon is, and they have it in the Mac world already, is the ability to go 5 virtual monitors. So I wouldn't even need that HDMI dummy plug, and I could have 5 monitors that I could orient in any way around me. So I'm just pulling up the Immersed website as I'm sitting here, and this is actually one of the favorite things that I like to do when I'm in Immersed, right? It's a great consumption environment. So I'm browsing the web, I might pull up my email, review that. I might watch a YouTube video or 5 and just get caught up on some information consumption, right? So again, Oculus Quest, Mac, Windows, Linux, Oculus Go. Those are your platforms, okay? And kind of a interesting story as we go to this next slide is I had filmed this twice before, right? You always do a dry run, then you do what you hope is your final. But then as I was getting ready to kind of final cut it, I went back to the website and realized that they had just released a new version and changed their entire pricing structure. So I'm going to pause here for a second to talk about this. So there are 3 tiers that you can subscribe to Immersed in. And we're going to get into more detail on this in a minute. There's your basic free version, so you can go out and you can enjoy and jump into Immersed right away and start taking advantage of some of the things that I'm showing you right here. Then you can go to a $15 a month plan that obviously gives you a lot of additional features and functionality. And then there's more of a business level, corporate level Teams plan that then offers you some level of management over the teams and the people and their functionality that they use in Immersed. All right, so we'll go over a grid of this in a minute. I'm actually going to jump ahead a little bit. Okay, so now we're talking about the settings, and I'm just going to go over those. And the most interesting part of the settings here comes in when you get into managing the monitors, right? So Immersed is all about giving you in your $400 or $500 headset, you know, about $5,000 worth of monitors. Because as I said, I have a laptop, and I have a laptop 17-inch screen. That's what I use. I plug in my HDMI and I can suddenly have a whole nother monitor at my disposal, as big as I want, to manipulate in my environment in any manner I want. So even if I did go out and buy a really nice top-end large monitor for a second monitor, it's going to sit in a static location, and I'm going to sit in a static location. And this is where, again, the functionality within virtual reality and in our headsets and through applications like Immersed really shines. So you can see I'm just toggling through the commands where it showed me monitor 1, monitor 2, as it's shown in my computer. Now, this is part of the secret sauce here. Immersed gives you 4 presets that you can organize your monitors in, and it will remember them every time you come back into the application. So again, I'm a little bit limited in that I'm showing you 2 when the promise for Immersed is up to 5, if you can imagine, right? So keep in mind that, again, I'm showing you just monitor 1, monitor 2, and many of you may go, well, Rick, I already, you know, have just 2 monitors. That's no big deal. I can manipulate them enough on my desktop. Well, again, I can stretch those 2 screens to be the size of a wall. I can shrink them down. And as you'll see here, I will manipulate and orient them in many different fashions. And again, while I'm sitting in my recliner too. So keep that in mind. And one day, very, very soon, when the devs get there, I'll be able to do that with 5 monitors. And I think we all kind of imagine it at some point or another, having that wall of monitors like you see in, you know, Mission Impossible or something. And we'll be able to do that in our headsets. Okay, so back to the demo. So as I manipulate and put these monitors in a specific orientation in my space, these monitors will remember where they are. And as I click through slot 1, then slot 2, slot 3 is 1 above, 1 below. Am I on the right one? Slot 4 is 1 in front, 1 behind. And of course, I've got to move them around, get it just right. Okay, then I go back to, there's 1, there's 2, there's 3. Oh, and it also allows me to change the monitor resolution on the fly here, which again is very nice. I'm going to bring up the keyboard. I hadn't talked about that, but it has the same controls as the monitor. So forward, back, manipulate in the environment, larger, smaller. And then I'm back to playing with my monitors, get them right. And it will remember these settings from environment to environment. So with that, we're going to go ahead and we're going to, I've left my privacy setting at open, and I'm going to jump into one of the 5 environments or worlds that Immersed gives you. And we're going to go to the cave of productivity. And so this is kind of a little grotto-like cave. You can imagine you've crawled down this rope. You're in this very isolated area. And again, it's maybe not as noticeable to you on this video, but in the background, you have this water running through the cave, this little waterfall going. So you have these ambient background sounds that, again, just help put your mind in a certain frame of mind that, again, to me is optimal for productivity and efficiency and getting things done and focusing on your work. And I'm sure there's some psychological term for it, but I know I always seem to have some background noise going. And so that's a nice addition to all these environments that the Immersed team has given us. So if I had come into this space and I've left my privacy settings on open, and one of my friends from Immersed had seen me available, they might find me in the friends list and actually join me sitting on the side of this little overhang on the cliff. And then I would be able to use my sharing screen function and share my screens with them. They could share their screens with me, and we could get work done, you know, down here in this cave with no one bothering us, and just kind of enjoying it together. Okay, and now I'm just kind of playing with my monitors. Again, kind of the never-ending tweaking of where you want all of them to sit. And actually, we might be about done with this demo. We might go to one more location. Let's see what I do. I know. So one of the things that I had to make an adjustment with, because again, you know, I might sit and I like to consume the YouTube channels that I subscribe to while I'm in Immersed, is that they don't have streaming sound into the headset at this point on their roadmap. But because I'm in the same room with my laptop, and because I also use a Bluetooth headset with my laptop, it's not a big deal to just stream that sound to me through the Bluetooth into my headset anyway. But something for you to recognize, that you won't get that streaming sound through Immersed at this point. So this is just a demo, and yep, no sound. Okay, good enough. So let's kind of move on here. And that might be it. Okay, let's go ahead to, okay. And so here's the slide that I had prepared prior to going back and realizing that things had changed just in the last week. And the one thing that's gone is this one time payment for what they call the Pro license. So if you had the Pro license, you've got grandfathered in with those feature sets. But right now they do not have a Pro level. Again, you have the basic free, so you get public virtual co-working. You can still use the co-working spaces. You can still meet with people in there. You can connect one computer screen. Again, you get kind of the basics, but you can get in there and you can enjoy the environments that they offer you. The next level, or actually the entry level up from that, is Elite. And it is now $15 a month or prepay at $120 a year. You can meet with up to 4 other people, so 5 of you altogether. You will get up to 5 virtual monitors. And again, this is available in Mac right now, coming soon to PC and Linux. Now, one of the things I will call out is that many of these things listed are kind of coming soon. I mean, I will fully admit I have bought into the Elite. I believe in this product. I believe in the team. The team is very active on their Discord if you want to communicate with them. They are going to be featured in the Oculus Quest store. So Oculus believes in them. And so I don't think there's much of a risk that you won't see these features coming. But you will get all the premium environments. You will be able to connect to 2+ computers. what they are calling a focus mode that they're not really ready to talk about yet. If I had to guess, this is total guess, do not know. It's going to be putting you in a location with just a specific application, but that's my guess. You can take bets on whether that's going to happen or not. Customizable workspaces and the elite whiteboard, which you can save and export for viewing later. And then, as I'd mentioned before, the teams, or the one for business, where you can have up to 15 people collaborating at a time. The user access management features, web mode, presentation mode, enterprise workflow. A lot of these other things that are very business oriented and related. All right, so how about our assessment of the application? So if we look at our first two items, kind of lumps these things together, consumption and retention, again, just high marks for the environments they give you, the ambient sounds, the comfort, the manipulation of the monitor. So yeah, I could sit in that recliner and just consume information for hours and be perfectly comfortable. Production and efficiency. One of the things I struggle with a lot of these VR productivity applications is that you're still required to put your hands on a keyboard and mouse. Now, I'm not a touch typist, so touch typing isn't going to work for me. If you're a touch typist and you can put your headset on and you have no trouble navigating those keys and a mouse, man, I can't imagine that with all these screens, with the environments that you can be in, with the level of attention and lack of distraction that you can have, that you wouldn't be very productive and efficient. Flow, again, being able to manipulate those monitors and move things back and forth, have the amount of information that you need up in front of you. I think from a workflow perspective, it's fantastic. UI ergonomics doesn't get much better than doing your work when you're in your recliner. Or, you can do it standing up. But I think ergonomics, again, really high marks. Social and collaboration, I'm right now kind of saving these two. I'm going to come back, give you another video when I can get some folks to come into Immersed with me, do a little video of that experience and share more with you there. And then value, what's the return on investment? And, that's going to be very individualized, very up to each person, what value they get out of the application. I think that they're at a good price point. And again, especially if you're comfortable with touch typing, and maybe you work at home a lot, and the value of having multiple monitors at your disposal are there, I think it's a great value. Okay, well, thank you very much. We really appreciate you joining us here at VR4work. We're going to endeavor to continue to bring you good content. We've got lots of things lined up. We've got other people joining the effort, especially on the social and collaborative front. So we're looking forward to bringing you more content soon. Stay well. Thank you again, and we'll be seeing you